Thank you very much. It's kind of difficult to come after all these very, very good presentations to conclude. So far we have heard a lot about the nature and size of the PSNP, its achievements, challenges, and some aspects of future directions. I'd like to focus on lessons that can be learned given its design, implementation, and evolution. And a number of these lessons have been already highlighted by previous speakers. I will focus on 6 lessons, which I somewhat perhaps ambitiously call principles. Dialogue, ownership, integration, coordination, complementarity, and monitoring and evaluation. The PSNP is unique, at least at the time of its design, in terms of the dialogue that actually led to its implementation. This dialogue has been regular and continued not only during the design process, but also in terms of implementation and subsequent revisions. So this genuine dialogue was critical in my view for its success, and in particular because it focused not only on what to do, but also how to do it. From the outset, there was a significant effort in mapping out an implementation strategy that would work, and the willingness to talk and discuss and revise along the way. So one of the lessons for resiliency or other programming efforts is that dialogue among different stakeholders on a regular basis and covering what and how to do would be very useful. The second lesson relates to the place of the PSNP in the development practice in the country. From the outset, there was a deliberate effort to link food security issues and therefore specifically the PSNP to the national development agenda and the national development effort. This is a particularly beneficial practice because, among other things, it put the PSNP high on the agenda of any discourse and planning, but also ensured a degree of continuity over a period of time. The third lesson and principle is ownership. Again, John and Matt have been, and all the other speakers, Ato Brhano included, alluded to this. This is a government-owned program. That has a number of repercussions, including specifically the commitment over an extended period of time, and the political willingness to make adjustments as necessary. So this principle that it is nationally owned and run actually explain to a significant extent the success achieved by the PSNP. And again, it is something that should be looked into in the design of other particularly large resilience interventions. The fourth area has been alluded to by Matt as well as John to greater detail, and that is coordination. The previous experience and to some extent experience in other areas even now is that different donors have different pet projects, different focus, and the coordination among donors is an area to work on. And there is also need for significant coordination between donors and the government. And something that is not usually mentioned is that there is a significant need for coordination within the government, because particularly these large programs involve different branches of the government. A simple example, if the PSNP requires transfer of financial resource or cash across different administrative levels. And this involves the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture, which is directly responsible to the PSNP. A significant coordination is necessary to make these work at all levels, particularly at the Warada or district level. So the PSNP is based on and has achieved its successes by evolving and developing significant coordination among donors, between donors and the government, as well as within the government. So as Matt said, transaction costs have been significantly reduced as a result. So that is another area or principle other programs should look into. A fifth principle links to these concern and tension between what is regularly called protection and development. In development practice, in different domains, this distinction is highlighted, and in my view, it's a kind of an arbitrary distinction. So one of the benefits of the PSNP is that from the outset there was a deliberate effort to bridge these or to resolve this tension by linking the protective elements of the PSNP with potential productive enhancing inputs. So addressing emergency, enhancing resilience, and promoting development were put together in a complementary fashion within the PSNP. They are not always successful or smooth, but that it highlights the need for complementarity even further. So drought risk financing and other elements of the PSNP should be noted in this respect. So that is the fifth principle, complementarity across protection and development. The final area of focus as a lesson or a principle is monitoring and evaluation, and John has detailed the specific setup that we have in this regard. The lessons to be deduced are three here. First is that monitoring and evaluation should not be an afterthought. It has to be part of the initial design, and more importantly, the common understanding between partners involved in a program, in a project. Everyone, so to speak, should be on the same page regarding the nature and role of monitoring and evaluation. And that has been the case, and it has been strengthened in the life of the program with respect to the PSNP. The second aspect of monitoring and evaluation has been discussed in detail by John. I put it for the sake of completeness, and that is monitoring and evaluation effort should be independent but collaborative. And what collaboration means has been highlighted by John. Government, branch donors, and external evaluators have to be part of this. And one specifically important dimension for me of the monitoring and evaluation exercise with respect to the PSNP is the involvement of the Central Statistics Agency. All the information we gathered, the quantitative surveys have been done by the PSNP, and it has multiple advantages, including building the capacity to do so locally. And that's a specific dimension I want to add to what John had: independent but collaborative monitoring and evaluation. The third lesson here is the third aspect of this lesson is that having interim but rigorous evaluations is a very helpful effort. We have done 4 so far, and the 5th is in progress. And the key opportunity created by these interim but rigorous evaluations is the opportunity to learn. to learn what is the strengths of the program, what are the weaknesses, how could they be addressed, and at the same time build capacity to achieve these objectives. This is particularly proved useful for the PSNP because it is a very large program. It started as a very large program. It is not a small program that was piloted and then scaled up. It is from the beginning a large program. So having these interim evaluations and the opportunity to learn and build capacity proved very important. And related to that, I have to mention, of course, the willingness on the part of all stakeholders to exploit this opportunity proved useful. So to conclude, I have these 6 lessons: dialogue, ownership, integration, coordination, complementarity, and monitoring and evaluation. And I am happy to also observe that some of these lessons have been already incorporated in the design and implementation of more recent large development programs in the country. And the hope is that other projects and other countries and communities could learn from this. Thank you very much.